Forget the primal scream of survival, etched into every nature documentary, the brutal ballet of predator and prey, the relentless grind of competition we've been told defines life itself. For too long, we've seen the natural world as a mirror, reflecting our own deepest anxieties about scarcity and conflict. But what if, beneath the searing sun of the Arizona desert, in a tiny, intricate city built from sand and purpose, a different story was unfolding? A colony of ants, not warring, not conquering, but thriving through an almost impossible philosophy. Win-win. They don't just survive, they flourish, not by crushing their rivals, but by elevating every living thing around them. This isn't a fable. This is a living testament, a biological blueprint that challenges every assumption we hold about power, progress, and the very possibility of a peaceful existence. Prepare to look at the world, and perhaps ourselves, through an entirely new lens. The relentless Arizona sun beat down on Dr. Evelyn Reed's worn hat, her magnifying glass glinting as she meticulously catalogued the usual suspects in this remote stretch of sauna and desert. A driven entomologist from Arizona State, Evelyn lived for the intricate dance of insect life. But even her seasoned eyes weren't prepared for the sight unfolding beneath a gnarled creosote bush, a phenomenon so radical it threatened to unravel the very fabric of her understanding. This wasn't just one otter harvester ant colony. Here, in an intricate network of tunnels, were not only Hypogonomyrmex, but also a species of A. formicae, typically known rivals, openly sharing a common granary. Then, a gasp caught in her throat. Tiny desert isopods, usually prey or scavengers, moved unmolested, even gebonophyting from the ants' discarded detritus within the shared space. No skirmishes, no territorial displays, just an inexplicable serene cohabitation. It was a biological anomaly, a silent, living contradiction that shredded decades of established interspecies competition, theory in a single, bewildering tableau, leaving Evelyn with a dizzying sense of discovery. Evelyn, her face perpetually illuminated by the glow of monitors displaying real-time microcamera feeds, became a ghost within her own lab. Days bled into nights as she meticulously charted the hidden dance beneath the desert floor. It wasn't just a colony. It was a living, breathing tapestry of cooperation. She documented pharaoh ants tending the root aphids' honeydew farms, not as subjugated workers, but as diligent partners sharing the sweet bounty. Then came the profound shock. Tiny fatal ants, fierce warriors by any textbook definition, not only coexisted, but collaborated with her focus species, trading protection against larger predators for access to specific food caches. Her own painstakingly collected data painted an impossible picture, a complex, reciprocal economy of labor and defense, extending even to declared rival species. The survival of the fittest mantra, the very bedrock of her academic career, didn't just bend. It shattered, leaving Evelyn adrift in a scientific paradigm she no longer recognized, every foundation of her understanding crumbling. The fluorescent lights of the grand ballroom hummed, a stark contrast to the buzzing life she documented. Evelyn, poised at the podium, presented her thermograms and intricate behavioral analyses of Asia formica, Mutuine, detailing their unprecedented reciprocal foraging alliances. A ripple of unease, then outright derision, spread through the prestigious audience. Dr. Eris Thorne, a titan in sociobiology, scoffed from the front row. Dr. Reed, you're not observing a paradigm shift. You're projecting human utopian fantasies onto insects. This isn't science. It's anthropomorphic romanticism. The whispers grew louder, fable, naive. unpublishable. Her grant review, scheduled next week, now felt like a firing squad. Her decade-long work, her very academic standing, teetered on the precipice of ridicule. The choice was stark: retract, reframe, blend into the established dogma, or stand firm, alone, against a tidal wave of orthodoxy, daring to declare that the Arizona desert held a truth the scientific world refused to see. The searing Arizona sun, once a predictable furnace, became an unrelenting hammer. A prolonged catastrophic drought descended, bleaching the sky, cracking the very bones of the desert floor. Water sources vanished, turning once lush patches of vegetation to dust, and the delicate larder of seeds and insect larvae that sustained the ant colony dwindled to critical levels. With scarcity came an invasion. Aggressive fatal species, driven by desperation, encroached on established foraging grounds, while new territorial beetles emerged from the desiccation, all vying for the vanishing scraps. This wasn't merely hardship, it was an existential gauntlet. Evelyn's meticulous data, her defiant theories of symbiotic prosperity, now hung precariously. This environmental crucible threatened to shatter the win-win ecosystem, pushing the colony to a primal precipice where survival traditionally demanded ruthless competition. The very possibility of their unique peace, their celebrated interconnectedness, was on the verge of disproving every revolutionary claim. The heat shimmered off the cracked earth, a relentless adversary intensifying daily. Evelyn, hunched over her thermal imaging, watched as the colony's water reserves plummeted, pushing their renowned efficiency to its breaking point. This wasn't just survival. This was an acute test of their very philosophy. But what unfolded was nothing short of miraculous. Instead of internal strife for diminishing resources, she observed a choreographed response. Specialized scout ants, alongside species of desert beetles they typically shared only passing trails with, were redirecting dew runoff from distant rock formations. Aphids, usually mere food sources, were now being carefully moved by worker ants to new, shadier plant veins, their sugary excretions a vital, temporary energy boost, not just for the ants, but for the wilting flora itself. It was a breathtaking, intricate ballet of reciprocal benefit, a web of interspecies survival woven not from conquest, but from an almost impossible, defiant act of shared flourishing against the encroaching desolation. The desert wind, once a constant hum of indifference, now whispered profound truths to Evelyn. She had watched, captivated, as the impossible ant colony didn't just endure the harshest seasons, but thrived, its population booming, its resource network a marvel of efficiency. The win-win wasn't a quirk, it was an evolutionary engine. The epiphany hit her with the force of a revelation. This wasn't merely entomological data, but a living, breathing blueprint for humanity. Our own struggles, our zero-sum games, suddenly felt tragically obsolete. Armed with unprecedented footage, crystalline statistical models, and an unshakable conviction, Evelyn launched her findings into the academic maelstrom. Initially met with skepticism, ants are not humans, the refrain went. Her meticulously documented evidence became irrefutable. She spoke not of a biological anomaly, but of a scalable, radical alternative to conflict. Her passionate advocacy, framed by the stark reality of global challenges, ignited a spark. Slowly, hesitantly, the scientific paradigm began to shift, a nascent, hopeful vision emerging. Collective survival, not through conquest, but through an almost forgotten art of mutual elevation.